I was in the middle of recalibrating the final encryption sequence, fine-tuning the algorithms that would secure our next transmission to the International Space Station, when my phone buzzed, insistently. I glanced down at the screen. Emergency. Family dinner. Harper's text read. Mom says it's serious. In that instant, I felt my heart stutter. Not because I thought my mother-in-law's tone signified true urgency, but because I sensed a collision coming, an inevitable collision between their version of me and the reality of who I really was. I tapped out a quick response. On my way. Then I saved my progress, shut down my workstation, and slipped into jeans that had seen better days. Laced up scuffed boots, shrugged into a worn t-shirt whose neckline was fraying. To anyone looking from the outside, I was a man who had parked his dreams long ago. I navigated afternoon traffic in my beat-up sedan, a car as unremarkable as the clothes I wore. The engine rattled familiarly, reminding me of midnight debugging sessions in a cramped office. My only company, half-empty coffee, mugs, and the hum of servers. While they fretted about my lack of a proper job, I'd spent countless nights developing quantum-resistant encryption platforms, the kind that would one day redefine secure communications. But tonight, all of that excellence would be cloaked by their misconceptions. Tonight, I would show them that perception can be an astonishingly stubborn force. Pulling up to the entrance of my in-laws' mansion felt surreal. The gatehouse was immaculate, the hedges sculpted into geometric precision. Marble columns flanking the portico gleamed in the early evening light. I parked near the front door, stepped out, and ran a hand through my rumpled hair. Inside, the smell of Moroccan spices lingered, mingling with polished wood and heirloom crystal. Their foyer was a cathedral of affluence, high ceilings draped with a crystal chandelier, expensive art lining the walls, and a polished marble floor that reflected each chandelier prism like a kaleidoscope. In the silence that seemed to prefigure drama, I found my breath catching in my throat. As I entered the dining room, I saw Harper, hovering, near the head of the table, flanked by her mother, Marjorie, and her father, Douglas. The table was set for 8, though I knew they wouldn't be breaking bread tonight. Plates remained pristinely untouched. Polished silverware lay waiting for courses that would never come. Marjorie's cool gaze met mine. Her eyes, sharp as knives, seemed to dissect every thread of my thrifted outfit. Douglas sat beside her, expression unreadable, as if mentally preparing for a shareholder meeting, and I was the quarterly performance report. Behind them, family portraits hung in matching frames. Harper as a child in a church choir, Beau in cap and gown, Ron shaking hands with a competitor. I felt the weight of their history seated before me. Harper offered a tight-lipped smile. Her cheeks flushed. "We're glad you could make it," she said, voice measured. But I caught the tremor in her hands clasped before her. I understood. She had seen the look in her mother's eyes when the invitation was issued. A look that said she was about to try and straighten a life that, in their view, had gone decidedly crooked. I pulled out the chair at the foot of the table and sat, smoothing back my hair, trying to charm some semblance of composure from anxious nerves. Marjorie cleared her throat and clicked a remote. A projector descended. From the ceiling, a slide flickered to life on the screen behind her. "It's time we talked about your future," she announced, voice crisp. My resume appeared, complete with outdated job titles and an email address I hadn't used in 3 years. They'd clearly scavenged LinkedIn for scraps, convinced I'd languished in professional limbo. For a moment, I caught Harper's gaze. Her eyes darted to me, questioning, wondering if I'd lost my mind by not setting them straight, but I remained calm, waiting for the opportune moment to let the truth obliterate their misconceptions. Marjorie flipped to slide 1, Bullet points. Engineering assistant. Midwest Tech Solutions. 2018 present project coordinator, Suburban Systems. 2016-2018 underneath. Align, seeking stable career in an established firm. I felt a hot surge in my chest. Those roles had existed, but only in a parallel universe. Jobs I'd taken briefly while building the hidden empire no one believed existed. I let Marjorie finish her scripted commentary. You've always been brilliant. But you lack direction, she said. We've compiled a list of job openings, entry-level positions at banks, sales roles, respectable opportunities. A manila envelope slid along the table toward me. I opened it. Laminated sheets. Job ads with headlines like immediate openings, customer service. Junior analyst, apply now. Sales trainee, no experience needed. Harper sat on my left. Tension radiated off her in small vibrations. On my right, Blee and Ron exchanged knowing glances. Ron smirked and whispered something in Blee's ear. She bit back laughter. I kept my face neutral, suppressing a retort. The room felt claustrophobic. Their pity, their patronizing smiles, tightening like a vice around my ribs. I remembered Harper once admiring my early prototype. She called it cute. If only they could see what I had really built. Douglas cleared his throat. Atlas Quell mentioned you in a press release 6 months ago. I looked at him, eyebrows raised. Atlas Quell, I echoed. He frowned, fidgeting. Yes, that fledgling firm you founded. We heard rumors, Marjorie interjected. That's ancient history. You left that behind, didn't you? Chose to do who knows what, instead of something real. I let their misperception hang in the air. Then, actually, I said quietly, I never left it behind. Each word deliberate. My day job is Chief Systems Architect at EtherCore Technologies. Their pity stares flickered. Confusion. Then skepticism. I leaned forward. I'm the founder. Silence. Fine. China rattled. Someone's hand tightened around a glass. Marjorie's spoon clattered against her plate. Harper's jaw slackened. That's not possible, Marjorie breathed. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled. Out my phone. The real one. I unlocked it with my fingerprint and flicked open the EtherCore app. On screen, global server maps. Live uplink feeds. Investor notifications blinking. A banner appeared. EtherCore valuation, $18 billion. Blee snapped her fingers. Explain, she demanded. You built what? I tapped the screen again. Enlarged a headline. EtherCore Technologies breaks ground on Quantum Lab. Subheading, stealth startup founded 2 years ago under alias. Atlas Quell. Their eyes widened. Their silence thickened. Douglas's face turned ashen, fork clattering onto his plate. Harper covered her mouth, eyes glassy with astonishment. Why didn't you tell us? Marjorie whispered. I traced the grain of the mahogany table, chose my words carefully. Because you never asked. You fashioned an image of me, long before you knew the truth. You wanted a version of Scott that fit your expectations. There, eyes flickered between my thrifted boots, and the real-time corporate dashboard glowing on my phone. A strange surge welled inside me, triumph, mingled with pity. Harper blinked, voice cracking. I thought you were struggling. I sent you job ads because I wanted stability for us. I shook my head gently. Stability, I said, is a moving target. I tapped the screen. This is what I built when I was free from second-guessing. A stunned hush fell over the table. Marjorie dabbed her eyes with a monogrammed napkin. Douglas swallowed hard. Ron attempted a weak smile. So, what happens now? He asked, glancing at Blay, who shuddered. I placed my phone face down on the table, folded my arms. Now, I said, we recalibrate our understanding of what a good job looks like. I looked directly at Marjorie, still fluttering like a wounded bird. You may want to revise that resume. Start adding headlines. Then I stood. The conversation was over. Lunch was no longer on their agenda. Dinner wouldn't be served. I turned to Harper and offered my hand. She hesitated. Eyes red. Squeeze gently, let's go. As we left the mansion's ornate foyer, the last of their questions died on their lips. I climbed into my car, t-shirt, boots, and all, carrying the weight of a truth they never saw coming. And in that moment, I realized this family intervention was never about dinner. It was about unveiling who I truly was.